Blackman.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker, and a pleasure to follow the honourable member. The budget obviously has to be set against the situation that we find ourselves in terms of recovering from the pandemic. And the Chancellor and his team are to be congratulated on ensuring that we've balanced the position between encouraging industry and commerce to reopen, at the same time supporting people who are going through the pandemic in a difficult fashion. And I strongly support all the measures that the Chancellor has announced within the budget. There are 4 areas, however, that I think need to be explored yet further. The position on remediating cladding. When the Secretary of State for Housing, Communities and Local Government announced the new scheme for dealing with high-rise blocks, it was announced at the same time that the loan scheme would be announced by the Chancellor during the budget process. Now that, at the moment, we haven't heard, and clearly there will be a large number of leaseholders wanting to know the details. Personally, I take the strong view that leaseholders should not have to contribute a penny, and reserve my position on where we stand for hearing the details of the loan scheme. So clearly that's a matter of concern. The second is that the estimates of the number of private tenants in rent arrears has soared during this pandemic, and clearly there's a day of reckoning coming. It is not clear what the government strategy is going to be to ensure that those rent arrears are cleared, either to the benefit of tenants or indeed to landlords who depend upon that income for their ability to finance themselves. I think indeed that needs further explanation, and I hope my right honourable friend will be able to answer that during the wind up to this debate. The second issue, which I think is vitally important, is that over pensions. The Chancellor has chosen to freeze the lifetime allowance. There are concerns that in a number of professions, including our medical professions, doctors are saying they've saved all the money they can under the lifetime arrangements, and therefore there is no incentive for them to continue working. That is a potential loss of skills that we can ill afford, particularly at a time when we are approaching the need for more doctors and more nurses and more medical professionals in our National Health Service. Equally, of course, I'm disappointed that the Chancellor has not announced any more funding to compensate the victims of the Equitable Life scandal. The reality is that those individuals saved for their retirement, intended to ensure they had a decent income, and they've been shortchanged, I'm afraid, as a result of the compensation scheme by the government thus far. I look forward to the Chancellor coming forward with further funding. At the moment, £2.6 billion is owed. And it's quite clear that the Chancellor has been able to find funding when it's necessary. Well, these people are amongst the most vulnerable in our society and deserve their backing and support. Equally challenging, I think, is the fact that our economy and the fact of our savings regime has been shown to be extremely fragile. The pandemic has released the fact that many people don't have money saved up in order to support themselves through difficult times. And clearly, I hope that the Chancellor will come forward in future budgets with ensuring that there are incentives for people to save not only for a rainy day, but for their retirement and for when they will need it next. But in summary, Madam Deputy Speaker, I strongly applaud what the Chancellor and his team have been able to do to get us out of this pandemic and get employment back and get the economy working once again.